Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for joining today's webinar, Customer Relationship Management for the Oil and Gas Industry. Our speaker is Steve Reybrock from Ledgeview Partners. Steve has over 30 years experience in the fuels industry. He is the lead consultant at Ledgeview Partners for every CRM implementation project for oil and gas marketers. Steve's experience includes presentations at the Pacific Oil Conference as well as ERP and CRM user conferences across the country. Today's webinar will provide an overview of customer relationship management and why you need it, selecting the best product for your business, and best practices after implementation of a CRM. Your phone lines will be muted during the presentation, but please feel free to ask questions using the chat feature. A copy of the presentation will also be available following this presentation. Steve, thank you for your time today.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer, for coordinating all this and teaching me how to use this webinar software of yours. It's some pretty cool stuff. So yes, this is all about CRM for oil and gas marketers. Jennifer did a great job of introducing me. Here's kind of what she said. A lot of experience in the IT world with oil companies. I've been working with Ledgeview and this CRM product for the last 5 years. And I work with our technical team to keep the CRM product evolving. I work with all our customers on implementation, training, everything involved with this oil and gas CRM product. That's what I do here. So that's a little about me. I would like to take a quick survey of the group because we have a number of people dialed in, and I'm just curious, how many of you are attending by yourself versus how many got a few people together in a room and are actually attending the webinar together. So if you wouldn't mind just taking about 30 seconds quick, and I think you just have to click the option there and hit submit, and then we'll continue on. All right. Good. A lot of folks are probably sitting at their desk watching by themselves. It looks like there's 1 or 2 folks who are with a group of people. So good deal. Thank you very much for that. Now, on to the agenda. So we have about 60 minutes, and I have lots to cover. So the agenda looks like this. It's kind of high level. Well, I'll get as deep as I possibly can in 60 minutes, but we're just going to start out about CRM 101. You're like, what is it, and why might I need CRM? Once you've made that decision that, yep, this is something important to us, it's a good competitive advantage, it's going to make us more efficient, you've decided you need it, now how do you go about selecting one? So there's some options there. And now when you select one, now you have to implement one. So what are some best practices and gotchas, some things to look out for when implementing CRM? And then, I hear this so often. People will see some things that we've done with CRM, and they just didn't realize some of the things that you could do with a tool. So I'll spend a little bit of time just showing you some of the cool things that you can do with a CRM product, just to, kind of help you answer that question, I don't know what I don't know. Well, hopefully this will help in that area. I think Jennifer said that chat or question section on the screen there can be used for questions throughout. I will do my best to kind of keep an eye down there on that corner. I'm looking for the questions. Otherwise, Jennifer might prompt me once in a while if there's a question in there that I need to take. I am booked solid here for the next hour, but again, hopefully we'll have time for a few of the questions. So again, I've got a couple hours worth of stuff to cover in 60 minutes, so let's rock and roll. So just so I know a little bit more, actually I'll do one quick poll in a minute, but I first want to just talk about just the basics about CRM. So what is CRM? Obviously it's software, it's customer relationship management. It's really focused on your sales, marketing, and service area within your division, within your company. So it's not meant to replace your accounting system, your ERP system, your back office system. To me, I think of it almost as an extension to that. I always think of your accounting system as like your Bible, and if we can get some of the data from there into CRM, that even makes CRM even more valuable. You'll see things like accounts, leads, contacts, opportunities, activities, and notes. Those are all CRM terms. Accounts are your customers. Opportunities, that's the business you're going after. Those are usually key ones for a sales organization. Obviously, that software revolves around your customer. So whereas your accounting system, has to make sure the debits and credits match and people are paying their bill and, accounts payable, accounts receivable, inventory control, that's all your accounting system. CRM touches on a little bit of that, but it's really mostly keeping track of what your customers are doing, what you hope they can be doing, and just keeping track of all that in one very easy-to-use tool. And then, as some of you may know, there is cloud-based options out there, many out there now. So you're basically working in the cloud, you're online, or on-premise solutions. So you can actually have a server in your data center and have all your information stored on-premise. So that's a little bit of the basics of CRM. But just so I can help focus a little bit where I want to spend my time, I just have one more poll. This is the last one. So thinking of where you're at with CRM, just trying to get a poll for where everyone's at. Do I have CRM and it's working great? I have CRM and it's not quite meeting our needs. I wish it could do more. I don't have CRM. I've done a little bit of research on it, or I'm pretty new to CRM. So I'm kind of looking at the results here, and we've got a pretty good mix. It's almost even across the board. So that'll make it interesting. So I think I'll point out here at this point that if I don't hit the mark for you at the end of this presentation, and I think even on an email that's going out, you'll have my contact information. And if you want to talk CRM specifics, I'd be glad to spend some time with you. So just reach out, and we can work one-on-one. All right. So moving on. Why might I need a CRM? These are just some things, and this list could go on and on and on. And I'm not going to try to read these to you, but I want to touch on them so I can have a little bit of a conversation about them. The one thing I probably hear the most often when I deal with an organization that's getting CRM, and I deal with mostly the oil and gas area, and it's usually for their sales team, is it's amazing to me how many sales folks have little to no access to the information in their accounting system. And if they do have access, it's maybe a little bit clunky to get at, or the information's in a report, so it could actually be outdated. So one of the cool things about CRM is it's a tool that can be obviously used by your sales team, and it can be accessed basically anytime and anywhere. So now you're actually putting data, which hopefully the software will turn into valuable information, for your sales team. So that's a great reason or a great thought to put into, why might I need CRM? Hey, I want to give my sales team some tools to help them, do their job. I mentioned this earlier. It usually picks up where your accounting software ends. Some accounting software might have a little bit of what they might consider CRM. You can put notes on the account screen, but CRM is so much more than that, and you'll see that in a little bit. Another buzzword that I hear quite often is transparency, and that is usually in a bad light. The word transparency ends up being a negative, and I try to tell folks, look, this is like a big-time positive. So a lot of times you'll introduce CRM to your sales team, to anybody, and you'll want them to kind of put all the stuff they know into the system. And the thought is, geez, Big Brother is just watching what I'm doing. They want to see what's going on. They want to watch me. Well, that's probably a little bit true, but the reality is we really want to watch our customers. We don't want to watch our employees. And then the other way transparency can be used, again, with that accounting software data, we're going to make that data transparent to a salesperson or a user of CRM. Now you have access to that data. So the transparency works both ways, and I see it as big pluses, but you got to be careful about that one because people get a little bit nervous when it comes to that. The other nice thing about CRM, really, when you put a system in place, it wreaks consistency because you have a software package now, so you have a certain way to do things. So if you add them two together, if you add transparency and consistency, usually you end up with efficiency, right? People have easy access to information. They can make decisions faster. And if they're doing a consistent process, right, it's just real easy to use. And it's real easy to get somebody trained and get somebody up to speed. Let's see, what's another reason here? Obviously, know more about your customer, easy to get a new person up to speed. We talked about productivity or efficiency. Another buzzword I hear is, measure. What gets measured gets done. So with CRM, you can set goals. You can compare goals to what's actually happening and measure those results. And that's just a great way for organizations who are goal-oriented. CRM is just a great tool because each individual can see how they're doing. You can see how the organization is doing. I mean, just a great tool to see if everybody's on track. Kind of switching away from the sales area, I mean, CRM just has some great marketing tools. You can create and track marketing campaigns. So you want to, do a marketing campaign to, blast out some information about maybe some products you're trying to, put on sale this month, or some discontinued items you're trying to get rid of. You can do that through a marketing campaign. And the list goes on and on and on. So I'm going to stop right there, and hopefully you guys are attending realize why you need CRM, and that's why you've attended the session. But there were some folks who were relatively new to it, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time covering that. All right. So now about selecting a CRM. So you've gone through and you've decided, okay, I really like this idea of CRM. I think it can give us a competitive advantage. It can make us more efficient. What do I get? So one of the first things to think about once you've decided on CRM is, do I want to start with a vanilla solution, or do I want to start with an industry-ready solution? And because you folks are all in the oil and gas industry, I know there's at least one oil and gas ready solution. There may be more. I haven't heard of too many more. But depending on your industry, there might be a CRM that's been developed to work just for you. So what's the difference between these two? So if you bought a vanilla CRM, imagining buying like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics CRM or any other CRM for that matter, ACT, there's all kinds of them out there. You get the base solution. A lot of functionality, a lot of cool stuff, but it works the same basically for everybody who buys it. And then what you can do is you can either do this yourself, but we don't recommend it. Typically, you'd work with a CRM partner and go through a design process to figure out, okay, what changes do we want to make this CRM hum just the way we want it to hum? What do we want this to do? What do we want to get out of our CRM? So you design it, and then you actually customize it. So you put in some development work against it, and then you get your finished solution. So the good news about a vanilla solution and doing that design and customization process is you get exactly what you want, right? And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, right? So you've decided what you wanted, you worked with somebody, developed it, and now you get it. So that's a big benefit of starting with vanilla and creating what you want. I would say the negative side to it, and it's kind of common sense that this would happen, is that because you're intimately involved with this design process and this implementation, the time you have to invest and the money you have to invest is usually higher than if you have a solution that's already created, right? Because the work has already been done. So big plus to starting with vanilla, you get exactly what you want. Negatives are, takes a little bit longer and costs a little bit more. If you get an industry-ready solution, so something that you look at and you go, wow, this solution has everything that we need. This is perfect. What are some positives to that? Well, it's going to be less expensive, and it's going to be less of a time commitment on your part because you don't have to go through any design or development. It's just get it installed, get it configured to the way you want it to look and feel for your company, and then get everybody trained and start using it. I don't want to minimize that there's still some work involved. There's just a lot less work and a lot less time than if you started from scratch. The negative with getting an industry-ready solution is it might not be 100% of what you want, right? So there's the trade-off. You look at a system, you find out it does 95, 96, 98, 99% of what you want. versus if you had to start from scratch and then you just have a decision to make. Do I want to start from scratch, or do I want to start with an industry-ready solution? Some of the things that I'm going to show you later are things from an industry-ready solution. It's already been customized. So a couple other things to think about when you're picking a package, picking what solution you want to start with is, do you want to go cloud-based or do you want to go on-premise? And again, your CRM partner should be able to help you with that. There's probably more folks going with the cloud-based now than the on-premise. It seems to be the decision these days. I find it's a lot easier. Let somebody else manage all that hardware and the upgrades and all that, and just let us worry about the users and the system. So that's one thing to think about. And then also to help with your decision up above, the resources. Who's involved with this? How much time do we have to invest in this CRM? We need it. How much effort do we want to put into it, in building it, or do we want to, get something that's done already? And then I put this in here, to find an experienced partner only because it's amazing. I don't keep track of this, but I bet you half of the last 10 installs I did were from clients who had tried CRM, I'll say, on their own, mostly on their own. And thought they could do it, and then there's just all that money and time wasted. So I see that more and more. I think when I was at the POC a few months ago doing a presentation, I asked the group, how many, kind of the same question I asked you all, how many have CRM and it's not working so great? And about 80% of the folks in the room raised their hand, and I just like, oh, really? I mean, I felt awful. So let's try to help everybody just get it right the first time, realizing the work that's involved and planning and just the gotchas, and let's just make this a success, right off the bat. So, okay, there you go. That's how you can select a right CRM and a right partner. And you'll notice I actually didn't focus at all so much on the exact software, right? Whether it's Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics. I mean, they're all, and there are others. I mean, they're all good. I'm sure you'll have to do your due diligence there, but it's really finding the right partner and then figuring out where you want to start. Do you want to start from scratch or start with something that's done already? All right. So what might you see in a industry-ready solution, at least for oil and gas? So this is some things that over the last 5 years, many of these things came right from marketers just like yourselves, those folks on the call. So things like equipment management. I hear this all the time. I'll meet with a client and they'll say, hey, a lot of times for us to win the business, we have to, throw in the tank or loan the customer the tank. And we have hundreds. Some customers have thousands of tanks out in the world. And number one, they don't know where they are. And number two, they don't know if the customers who have them are still buying product from them to put into their tank. So what did we do? We heard that loud and clear. And so now this vertical solution has a way to, keep track of your equipment, who has it, what product they promised to put in it, and if you also enter like how much they promised to put in, the system can tell you who's not meeting their commitment. So it's real simple in a CRM system if you have all that information. So, and we'll talk about some of the other, some of the things that we highly recommend when you're actually implementing a CRM. So, and one of the things you're going to hear from me is data integration to your back office is a must. It seems scary, it seems hard, it seems like it's going to be expensive, but there's a lot of smart people around. They can figure all that out, and let's get that really important data into CRM at folks' fingertips. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later. Something I mentioned earlier, goals versus actual. What a great way to just keep an eye on things. Territory planning, territory mapping. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if I could plot my accounts on a map, kind of plan my week? If I'm heading here, who else is in the general vicinity? Maybe I can just kind of plan my week and be a little bit more efficient. So we've heard from our clients, and we have that feature in there. This concept of share of wallet. I know the business that I have with my customers, but what are they? What kind of business are they doing with my competitors? And if I can keep track of that, again, the system can help me, keep track of that and then obviously go after that business. So that's a cool feature. We talked about the back end or back office integration already. Mobile is a big thing. A lot of these folks would rather do something, let's say, on their iPad or on their phone. So when you're researching CRM, be careful about somebody who just says, yep, you can access it through a mobile device. What does that mean? Can I access it? Can I update it? Can I create things on my phone or on my tablet or on my iPad? And then, how does that process work? How does it get back up into the, into the database? How does all that work? So we heard loud and clear that phones were just too small for our oil and gas application. So we polled our customers, and by about an 80% margin, everybody just seemed to be using iPads. So we developed an iPad app to work out in the field. And it doesn't even need to be connected to the internet when you're out there. So basically anytime, anywhere, I want to pull up an account, look up a contact, manage an opportunity, enter an activity. I can do all that on my iPad, and then we recommend once a day just synchronizing. So when you are connected to the internet, you synchronize to the database, and all your hard work on your iPad now magically appears in CRM. So mobile access is a big one. Station management. A lot of folks who are in your line of work own or service a lot of C-stores or gas stations. So we created a module where you could just keep track of everything you could possibly think of at a station, from the coffee machines to the tanks to the pumps to the canopies to the light bulbs to the how many restrooms are in the place. And it all depends on what you service at that station, what you might want to keep track of. And even compliance items. That was a big thing that we heard loud and clear, is that we have to do leak detection on these tanks, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. So you can set up those compliance items, and then when you complete them, record how you did, and you have to store documentation with that exercise that you did. You can do that, and then you can have the system automatically create a future task to do that same test, if you will, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, and then you can just forget it, because a year from now, CRM will just tell you, hey, it's time to go do that leak detection again, and submit the forms to the state or wherever you've got to send them. Right. And then one of the things that's kind of new that we've kind of heard recently is this concept of suggestive sell. It's not a perfect science, but it's just a way of having CRM really analyze the data in your system and look at the relationship between product lines, and then go, okay, the customer's buying this product line, and customers normally who buy that buy this other product line, and they're not, so maybe you should talk to them about that. So that probably takes an hour or two to set up, and then from then on, you just have a button in CRM you can hit and say, does the system, does the data present any opportunities for me? So really nice feature. All right, moving on. All right, so now let's talk about successfully implementing a CRM. I did a presentation recently that was, I think it was 45 minutes long, just on this topic, because this is a biggie. How many times we have all these good plans, and we seem to do everything right, and we think we did everything right, and it just doesn't work. So these are some things that are near and dear to me to see a successful implementation. And the first one is a biggie, because CRM is not a project that you do and you finish. CRM is never done. The champion or the owner of CRM is never finished. There's new people get hired. There's new enhancements you're going to think of. There's coaching opportunities. What you're going to find is when you go with CRM, you're actually changing your culture. Yes, it's with software and all that kind of good stuff, but really you're asking people to do something different, and usually quite a bit different. So that is the biggest thing. You need to have a champion, somebody who is going to run with CRM, realize that they're going to need help, maybe from a project manager. The champion might not be the project manager. They might be The champion might not be the sales manager, or it might not be the owner. And I'm really not talking about the sponsor of the project either. I'm talking about somebody who really rolls up their sleeves and is like, I'm ready to take this on and really change our culture around here, and that's with the software. So that's a biggie for me. And then this culture change we touched on. I'm actually going to skip down this one for a minute. This last one seems simple to me, but I've seen people make mistakes, and so you're getting a CRM, and for CRM to work efficiently on a desktop or on a laptop, that device needs to be at certain requirements, right? It needs to have this operating system, it needs to have this much memory, this fast of a processor. And what happens if you cut corners here, what happens is users are going to start using CRM, and they're going to think CRM is no good because it's either slow or they get these funny messages, these errors, and it has nothing to do with CRM. It has to do with your equipment, your internet speed, your all that foundational stuff that you just have to have in place for the product, for CRM, for the solution to be a success. So if you work with any partner, they should have a list of all the things you need to do to make the project a success besides just the design work. It's so much more than just, okay, what do you want it to do? Okay, here it is, we built it. Okay, do you have anything else for us to do? It's like, no, that's the easy part. I mean, it's a lot of work, but people are hard. So changing your culture and getting ready for that, it's all good. You're going to end up way ahead of the curve and have a competitive advantage if you put in the effort and do this. I've seen it firsthand. It's so cool to just watch this change in organization and just talk to them 6 months later, and they're just like, wow, some of the things that they're doing is just amazing. So the last one I want to cover on this slide, and then I'm actually going to jump out of the PowerPoint for a minute and just show you a couple things. I actually, to play it safe, I recorded them, so they're actually videos, and I'll pause them and kind of point out some things. But it all revolves around this concept of data integration. And I think it's really important to take the time to tie into your accounting system for a couple reasons. Number one, again, I grew up in the IT world. I'm a big believer in one version of the truth. So if you have a customer in your accounting system, I want that same information, the same customer number, the same address, the same everything in CRM. I don't want one system to say one thing and one system to say something else. Otherwise, everybody wonders, who do you believe, right? So, and I believe your accounting system is the Bible, so to speak. That's where the truth is. So it starts there. Obviously, the things that you just do in CRM, your opportunities, your contact information, all kinds of stuff that just resides in CRM. Obviously, nothing to do with your back office. But things like your customers, the products you sell, what we call order history, you might think of that as your invoice data. So all the invoices, think of every line item on an invoice I want in CRM. And then you'll see how powerful a CRM tool can be. So I'm going to jump over to a couple videos here. I think I'm going to be able to do this with this tool here. If I share my desktop, I should be able to pull this up and open this. So Jennifer, I'm going to leave this up to you. If you can't see this, let me know. So I'm assuming you can all see this. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So what I did is I created a little video. This is about 3 or 4 minutes long. And what I'm going to do is just kind of let the video play, and I'll just kind of walk you through what you're looking at. So again, this is really to demonstrate what you can do with a CRM package with data from your accounting system. So with that being said, I'm just going to let this thing take off. So I'm looking at a list of accounts. I'm about to visit this company called Fairview Manufacturing, or I'm about to call them, or I'm in their parking lot. So I'm just going to pull them up in CRM. So I search for them, and what you're going to see on the main screen is just main account information, name, address, whatever. But one of the things that I talked about is this concept of order history. So what I can do, and I'm just going to pause it here for a minute, I can, with a couple clicks there, I'm looking at now all of the line items on an invoice. Things like when's the last time they ordered, what was the invoice number or the order number, what product did they buy, how much did they pay, how much did they buy, how much money did we make. all that is right here at their fingertips down to the, like I said, the line item level. So that's the most recent transaction they had here. This is my test data, so I haven't added any data for a while, so that goes back to February of 2015. So all kinds of good information there. And because it's very granular, we can do a lot of information, or a lot of stuff with that now. So this is about as detailed as you can get, right? What has he been buying? When did he buy it? How much did he pay? I can jump back to the main screen here, and some other information that we're able to bring over is some AR information. And really, it's just optional fields. So these are just like 10 buckets. You can pretty much bring over whatever you want. So again, to have at my fingertips either his aging information, his last statement amount, his last payment information, the sky's the limit there. You can be as creative as you want. Let's get that valuable information, in CRM. And then we can also analyze that order history for you and summarize it. So here's a summary of the last 12 months, and it's showing the product that this customer bought the most of down to the product they bought the least of. So just one quick snapshot, it almost tells you right away what kind of customer, they might be. And then some people are a little bit more visual or graphical, if you will, than others. So what can we do with CRM? You can make charts. So this happens to be looking at gross profit, and we're just comparing year to date. So this year to date versus last year to date. And then the one over on the right is just looking at a rolling 12 months. So the most recent 12 months versus the prior 12 months. That's at a really high level for that account. And then again, because we have your detail, we can break it down by what we call product segment. You might call it product line. So how are we doing for antifreeze, grease, heavy duty, industrial? So we have that same breakdown, rolling 12 months and year to date. So really a nice feature, easy to analyze a customer. You have all this information now. Hopefully when you're walking into Fairview or giving them a call, you're probably thinking, why haven't you ordered, since February? What's going on? Another thing that's kind of cool and kind of new is this concept of estimated days between orders. And it's really simple. There's no magic here. So, if I'm managing maybe 100 accounts, I could go through the exercise. It'd probably take me a couple hours, and look at each one of them accounts and look at their order history and try to analyze their buying patterns. Just by kind of looking at their orders, I could estimate about how long it is between orders. And based on that, I can throw a number in here. In this case, I put in 17. The system then, because we have your invoice data, the system can then tell you if any customer dropped below this parameter that you set. So it's a quick way to tell if you lost somebody or possibly lost somebody. So as soon as it goes 18 days and Fairview Manufacturing hasn't ordered, CRM is going to be able to let you know that. So pretty simple feature, just comparing days, right? No big deal there. And then the last thing I just want to show you, we talked about this suggestive cell a little bit earlier. Again, I've got some kind of weird data in here, but this is just a way to, I'm going to pause it for a second. What this really does is just analyze what the customer has been buying, what they haven't been buying, and then looks at the relationship you've created with your product lines, or what we call product segments, and then lets you know of some possible things you might talk to them about that they haven't been buying. And in this case, it says, you should talk to them about furnaces and about additives. And then we also implemented this snooze feature. It's kind of, you think of your alarm clock goes off, you hit the snooze button. So if I've already talked to this customer about additives, I can just put in a date and a little note here, so I know if I don't want to talk to him about that again. So I'm just going to let this thing finish off. So again, this is using this CRM tool, the data that you've configured with your relationship between your product lines, and then just looking at all your data. And then the system just figures this out for you. So I'm on the account screen, I hit a button, and boom, here's this. It did all the analysis and told me here's what I might consider talking to this customer about. All right. So that is at a very high level. I have one other video I want to quick show you. Let's do this. And this is more at a higher level. So this is, again, looking at a lot of your data and goals that can be set. So what this is looking at is, I'll pause it for a second. This is looking at your company's year-to-date gross profit, and this happens to be units, and there's a lot more charts I could show you, but just as an example, we'll kind of hang out over here under gross profit. So it's looking at all your invoice data that you're supplying to CRM. So here's your actual. Here's how much money that you've made so far, and these diamonds represent quarterly goals. So I'm going to let the video keep going. So if we're halfway into the year, I'm a little bit behind my goal, right? If if it's only April and my fiscal year is calendar year, boom, I'm doing pretty good. When you drill into this, you can drill into it by department. So you can configure this if you do more than lubricants. A lot of my customers do more than lubricants. They have a lot of different divisions. And you can just keep drilling into this data. And you can set goals at this granular level. Looks like I got very lazy with my goal setting. So I'm looking at my company, my lubricants department, looking at my heavy duty business, and now I'm seeing which salespeople are bringing in that business. And if I go one step further, I think I clicked on Steve there, it's going to pull up all of Steve's accounts, and I can look to see which of Steve's accounts are bringing in my lubricants heavy duty business. So right here's the detail, really the summary, if you will, the summary by account that's rolled into all them other charts. But it starts with your invoice data. Okay, so that's more at a corporate level. As a sales manager, you might want to see just how your sales team is doing. So we can spin that same data by salesperson or by sales rep. So I can just, basically I'm looking at the same information, but it's going to start out at the salesperson level and with the same drill down. So now I'm looking at my sales team, looking at each one of them and how they're doing compared to goals. And again, I could drill into each one of these. And again, we have units over on the right. As I drill into Steve, I'm just seeing how Steve is doing by department, and then how Steve is doing by product segment within the lubricants department. And again, if I kept going, I'm going to get down to Steve's lubricant industrial accounts. Same thing I did before. The thing that's kind of nice is if you have a meeting, let's say you're going to meet with Sean, you can go in here and just say, look, I don't want to show everything on his dashboard. We're going to share, Sean's coming in, we're going to look at my screen. I'm going to talk to Sean about how he's doing. Now, Sean would have access to a dashboard that just shows his information. So whereas a manager would have access to, everybody. So just a great tool to use when you're coaching somebody, talking about, again, it's measuring stuff. It's really measuring and then, coaching. So some of the things as far as having a successful implementation, just a few more things. We talked about user adoption, people being the hardest part. Just a couple of suggestions I have here is, share the vision of the company, right? Why are we doing this? It's kind of common these days. I mean, there's communication within organizations I think is a lot better than it has been in the past, but really make sure people understand why we're even doing this. And then specifically for each individual, set expectations. Like, okay, now you taught me this tool. What do you want me to do? And how long do I have to do it? And are you going to help me learn how to do it? And, just really make it clear that they know what they have to do. Because the last thing I'd want to do is come and, spend a full day training somebody. And then at the end of it, everybody's like, okay, I learned some of this stuff. I know what this thing is all about, but I don't know what I need to do. So the next day they just go back to work. So you've really got to set some clear expectations. Managers, and those users really need to understand their role. That kind of goes with setting expectations, holding people accountable, right? Follow through, all that good stuff. And then one of the things that I've seen very successful is throw out a couple things to your team that you really want them to be good at with the software. So as an example, I use this one all the time when I'm in training because a lot of times people are seeing the tool for the very first time. And one of the things that I think they should really be good at is simply, just navigating through the software. Do I kind of know where to go to do stuff? So, at the beginning of the training, right, everybody's a zero, right? They've never seen the software. So then at the end of the training or maybe halfway through, I usually ask it a couple times, It's like, it'll be like lunchtime or whatever, and I'll just say, okay, hey, from a navigation perspective, how easy it is, what's your level, what's your comfort level on this on a scale of 1 to 10? And, you might hear some 3s or some 4s, and then at the end of the day, you might hear some 5s and 6s, and what you want to do is periodically you want to ask the team that very same question. Maybe it's an email blast to the team with your 3 or 4 or 5 things you wanted them to really be good at, and just ask them, just rate yourself. And you'll really be able to tell based on their response how it's picking up, how comfortable they feel with it. So I think that's worked out very well. Ultimately, we as project managers and owners and champions of CRM, we really need to eliminate every excuse possible. So we talked about the hardware. We talked about making a system that's easy to use. We want to make sure we do enough training, and on and on and on. So another one that we talked about earlier is, give your team easy access to the system, right? I want to be able to get at this through the web. I want to get at it through mobile. If it happens to be one of them tools that can work right within Outlook, great. I'm in Outlook all the time, and there's CRM. That's fantastic, right? Everybody's comfortable with Outlook. So easy access is important. Train. Don't think one day of training is going to do it. Offer after the fact, if people need help, who can they go to? Maybe for some one-on-one training. Maybe you as the owner or as the manager, you can do some coaching and help them along. Maybe you do some lunch and learns, right? Everybody bring their lunch in today, or we'll supply lunch. Let's spend an hour and just talk about what's going on with CRM and what questions do people have, and cover a few topics. So, and then again, you champions and you managers, continue to coach, restate expectations. Let's talk about some new features. I can tell when an organization hit a home run, when the new features, when the new ideas are coming from the team and not management and not the owner, not the champion. All of a sudden it just starts to snowball, and everybody's like, wow, if it can do that, I wonder if it could do this. This would really help me out. Then that you've won it. So there you go. Then, live it. If it's not in CRM, it doesn't exist. I hear that all the time. If you use the term, you're talking to a salesperson about their pipeline, all the opportunities that they're working. And they're talking, in a sales meeting, or to you in a one-on-one, they're talking about this opportunity they're working, and, you just pull up CRM and you don't see it in there. It's like, we don't even want to talk about this. It's not in the system. We've got to, what you decide as an organization, that needs to be in the system, people just, they've got to put it in. Whether it's activity tracking, keeping track of those phone calls and emails, those communications, that's really important for some organizations. Then you just got to have people do that, right? You have to hold them accountable. But you also have to give them the time to do it. And at first, it's going to be a strain. I see this all the time, and I tell folks, expect productivity to go down. And it will, whether that's for 2 weeks or 2 months, it's going to go down, then it's going to level off, and then it's going to start creeping back up, and you're going to get to a point where you are ahead of where you started. You just can't give up when you're, going down, right? Those first couple weeks, that first month when things are changed and people aren't getting all the sales calls they used to get because, they're spending time, futzing with this software called CRM. But they will get good at it. They will get fast at it. They will use it as a tool to help them, do their job better. Something as simple as putting in future activities to remind them of things. I mean, it's such a simple thing. I mean, I hear the term around here quite a bit is set it and forget it, right? I promise to call you, 3 months from now just to check on things. I can put that right in CRM as an activity with a due date of three months from now. And in 3 months, there it is. Call this guy. We talked about this last time. Ask him how it's going with this. Check his inventory on that. Maybe it's time for him to place an order. I mean, it's just all right there. The tool can really, really help you be more efficient. All right. I think I'm right on for time here. I don't see any questions queuing up. All right, I'm going to just jump to another video that's kind of in speed mode. This one's about, I think, 6 or 7 minutes long, so I'll pause it. But I want to show you a few more things that are, you can do with a CRM solution. That. I'm going to do this. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We were looking at a list of opportunities. That's really your pipeline, right? So all the business you're going after. And now I just opened up one of my opportunities. So this is just a way to manage the business that you're trying to get, your opportunities, right? So you can keep track of, what business you're going after, with who, what department it's for, what brand you're pushing, the type of opportunity, who owns this opportunity. Obviously, you want to give it some value, so that's real important. You can put in some comments there, estimated close date, and pretty much what you do is whatever you do for your sales process, you want to kind of recreate that in CRM. So you just move this thing along the sales process. So when you start meeting with a customer, the thought is, you're now in needs and solutions. You're not in the early on stages of this opportunity. You've moved into what we call sales stage 2, needs and solutions. And so this is just a great way to look at all of your pipeline information, all your opportunities, to see where they're all at in what stage. And so we try to make it real easy for sales folks to manage this, right? You fill in a couple things, keep track of where it's at, and now, if everybody does this as an organization, you'll be able to see your company's pipeline. And a way you can do that is through what in most CRMs, use dashboards. So this happens to be a dashboard that's analyzing gross profit that's in my pipeline or my open opportunities. So you can analyze that by department. How much gross profit is in my pipeline by department? How much is in my pipeline by each salesperson? And how much is in my pipeline by sales stage? This is what most people feel is their company's pipeline. And what's really cool about a lot of these systems is you can interact with the data, because that chart might trigger a question for you. Like maybe you're wondering, geez, if we got all this money in sales stage 2, what is that? So over on the left is all my opportunities, but if I look over here on the right, I can just click on sales stage 2 and it changes the list of data. Now I'm only looking at my opportunities in sales stage 2. And if I care to analyze that, I can actually make a chart of that data. I can say, well, show me that by, in this case, it looks like I picked owner, so salesperson. So it looks like Steve and Sean have opportunities that are in sales stage 2. And I could drill into this even further. Okay, what's Steve got going on? And now it changes the list. Over here, these are Steve's opportunities in sales stage 2. I could easily open one of them up, give Steve a call, whatever. So, and because of the flexibility with these charts and these dashboards, you can drill into, and pick just about anything you want. We have lots of dashboards over opportunities, and I was showing you some of the dashboards over your, gross profit versus actual. Another thing that's kind of powerful in CRM is the reporting mechanism. So again, if you don't have a lot of easy access to get data out of your accounting system, here's just a real simple example, and I'm gonna pause it for a second here, because this has been a real powerful front end to a lot of our reports, and it's just this filter screen. So the report ultimately is just going to list, one line for each customer. Okay, great. It's a ranking report. It's going to rank my best customer down to my worst customer. But wouldn't it be cool if I was in charge of or had control of the data that the report used? And that's what this filter screen is. And it's a little bit intimidating at first, but give it 10 or 15 minutes and you'll be so comfortable with it, because once you know the data that's in your account file and in your order history file, the sky's the limit now, right? Maybe I only want to rank my customers. I'm a salesperson. I want to just look at my customers. Maybe I only want to look at my customers that are in this industry. Or maybe I want to rank my customers, but I don't want to look at this fiscal year. I want to look at, the last 3 months or the last 12 months. Or I only want to analyze this department, or I only want to analyze this product segment. You can pick anything you want based on the data that's in your account file or your order history file. So I'm just going to let this thing play out here. So again, you filter what you want. I think I just leave the defaults here just as they are. So basically I'm saying rank all my customers and look at just this fiscal year. So I'm just looking at this fiscal year's data. And what it's going to do, again, is going to produce a report that's one line per customer. It's going to ask me, hey, how do you want to rank them? And I think I'll probably pick volume here. So I'm just going to, looks like I picked gross profit. So I'm going to rank these customers by gross profit. And it's just going to, analyze the data that I told it to analyze. and it's going to list one line for each customer, and it's going to give me some nice totals on the top of the report. But then what it's showing me is you should see the gross profit going down because I want my best customer down to my worst customer. And then I also list some percentages there because people are always interested in that. And then I even have a running percentage because a lot of folks like to see maybe their top 80% of their customers. So, the system is going to generate everything. You can just stop reading when you get down to 80%. So really, really cool features with reports. And there's reports you can analyze salesmen, your opportunities, your accounts, variances this year, last year. Moving on to equipment tracking. We talked about this a little bit. I just want to touch on it a bit. But here's where you really go into the system and you tie an account to a piece of equipment. And then you kind of say, what relationship do you have with that transaction, basically? Did I rent it? Did I loan it? And then there's some dates involved. When did I give it to the customer? And if they returned it, you can put a return date in. If there's no date, the assumption is it's still there. And then you can even state what product they promised to put in that product. And if you put in an annual commitment level, like I said earlier, the system can tell you who's not meeting their commitment level. Here's that station management that I pointed out earlier. For those of you who might have some stations, you can record, like I said, just about anything about a station. There's so much in here. Just basic address information, information about the building, information about the pump toppers, the lights, the security system. If there's more there, like a car wash or a Subway, you could record retail strategies, anything about the signs or the pumps, the tanks, any other equipment you can think of. If you want to keep track of the popcorn popper, go for it. You can record all the different equipment at that location. There we talked about the compliance items, and on and on and on. So the last thing that I think is kind of important is to have documentation and videos within your solution. So this is, one of my favorite things to do, right, is to make videos. So the system probably has, 20 or 30 videos for all the features of the system. So you hire somebody new, you can point them to the videos. If somebody needs a refresher, point them to the videos. Every time we crank out a new release, crank out a video saying all the new features that are in CRM. So that was that. Jennifer, can you pull me back? All right, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes. Just wrapping up things on my end for a minute here. Just going to kind of advance. Talked about that. So just to touch a little bit on Ledgeview, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but CRM really is all we do. I mean, we've got a office full of people here. We do it all over the country. We do design work. We do implementation. We do support. There's a lot of neat bullets on here. Probably the one I'm most proud of, most excited about is our 98% customer retention rate. So all the customers, customers that I'm dealing with, it's just great. They stick around, and I work with them, on a repeated basis. So that's really nice, continuing to work with these customers. We also have some awards, if you will, from both Salesforce and Microsoft. We're a partner of both, so we're gold partners of Microsoft, and for Salesforce, I think it's on here somewhere. Oh, we're a silver partner with Salesforce. So that is a little bit about us. We're headquartered in Appleton, Wisconsin. So that's where I'm calling from right now. And this is my last slide. So again, we had a pretty big range of people today, from folks who had CRM and maybe were struggling, folks who were way new to it, didn't know, hadn't done a lot of research on it. So I apologize if I didn't hit the mark, perfectly. So I'd be more than happy to have a dialogue with you one-on-one. And I do travel quite a bit and do a lot of these presentations and work with clients. We have a pretty big team here. If I'm not around, I can definitely get you involved with other folks in our team, and we'd be glad to spend some time to work with you. There's also a place where you can do a little bit of your own research if you want on our website. There's case studies, videos, and lots more there as well. So with that, Jennifer, I think I heard you unmute. Did you see any questions? I've been looking. I didn't see anything come in.
I haven't seen anything, no.
Okay. Well, that means I must have hit the mark, or I lost everybody. No, I hope it went well. So I just want to, before I turn it back to Jennifer, I really just want to thank everybody for their time, and hope to hear from some of you. It'd be great to build a relationship. So thanks again, and take her away, Jennifer.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. A copy of this presentation will be emailed to you later this week, and it will also be archived in NASM University online. If you don't have login credentials, contact me and I'll make sure that you're set up. Once you close this browser window, please give the page a moment to redirect you to a brief survey. Your comments are important to both NASM and to our speakers. Thank you again for joining us, and have a wonderful day.